So hello everybody and welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you don't know who I am, my name is Sam Holt and I'm a street photographer. I also specialise in automotive photography and brand content creation. I put out a story recently on my Instagram page asking if anybody wanted me to critique their website, and I got a huge amount of responses and it's really cool to see. Unfortunately I can't cover them all in one video, mainly because of time restrictions and I don't want this video to be too long, so this will be part of a longer ongoing series. In this video I just want to review 5 websites that you guys have sent in. Thank you so much for doing so. Thank you for interacting with this channel and interacting with me. I really appreciate it. It allows me to keep up some fresh content and also give back a little bit as well, which is really nice to see, and it's nice to see this community slowly growing. So I've just got my laptop open in front of me and I'm just going to run through quickly some of the websites that you guys have sent in. I think the majority of these websites are built in Squarespace, so there might be similarities between them, but I'll try my best to give as much constructive feedback as I can. So up first we've got Dan Baker, who is a street photographer by the looks of things, and I really like this website. What happens when you launch your website, Dan, is that it goes straight into big bold image. It really gives a feel for what your website's about, and I think that's really important. It gives us a taste of what your photography is about. Also, one feature that I really enjoy about websites is if you can click upon like the logo or the title and it resets the website, it takes you right back to the homepage. If you've got that enabled on your website, it's really handy. I use it to navigate websites all the time, especially when I'm doing like critiques of websites as well. I think it's really important to be able to start afresh and be able to delve back into somebody's website. So first things first that I noticed with this is that you've got a slider with all your images on, and I think this is really good. It allows people to see a full screen version or semi-full screen version of your images. Really nice selection here, really clean layout, very simple to click through. You can also use the keys as well to go through. And another really handy element that you've got on here is the show thumbnail feature, which is excellent. That means that if a client or somebody is looking through your website, they can really quickly see all of your imagery laid out, and just by doing this you can see there's a very consistent theme in your work, and that's what somebody will always be looking for. And I just think that's really handy. And then if you click back in, you can again just keep going through the images, and I think that's really a really good feature of your website. On the left you've also got different projects. I like this layout on desktop. I think this is fine. My only concern with this would be is how it displays on mobile. I also like that you've got a blog available on your website. It allows people to stay up to date with what you're doing. It allows people to sort of get fresh interest in what you've been up to. It allows you to post photos that you might not necessarily post to your main portfolio. Like this, for example, is like an Instagram story that you've posted. I think that's a really cool idea. If you've got a lot of traffic going to your website, it's really good to have a blog. You've also got a shop, which is cool. That shows that you're selling books and prints, which is really cool to see. That's really nicely laid out. I think that the simpler your shop can be, the better. And yeah, I think that's absolutely fine. Nothing to talk about there. Your about section, again, really good to have a picture of yourself. I think it sort of breaks that barrier. It makes you a little bit more familiar. Sort of similarly to how I'm doing these videos at the moment, I want to present more of my personality, and I think that, yeah, this is a really good way of doing so. It allows people to interact with you again. This is quite long, I would say. I think you could probably keep this down to about 2 paragraphs maximum. Q&A is cool, but again, maybe just try out some video content, or again, put it on a blog, make it a feature on your website, but I wouldn't put it in your about section. This is quite cool, especially for photographers who do more street work that isn't necessarily commission. I think it's really cool to show that you have experience doing stuff, especially dating back to 2017. That really gives you a scope of how long you've been doing it. It's not necessarily imperative to have it on your website, but I think it's a really cool way to just display what you've achieved. So I've just gone onto your contact section of your website, and this has gone a bit funny, the formatting, I think. Maybe that just needs a bit of a rework. Again, I'm not a massive fan of contact forms. I think it's a lot easier just to put in your email and your number. Just really keep it simple. I like the fact that you've got an image on there as well. It sort of keeps the theme that you're a photographer running through. You've also got links to your Instagram and your Pinterest, which is really cool. So all in all, I think you've done a really good job with this website. A couple of things here and there that need to be tweaked, but I think apart from that, you've done a really stellar job on creating a photography website that's engaging and also presents a large amount of work without it getting too cluttered. It's getting very dark in here because it's raining. I've lost almost all light, so I'm just running on my little daylight in the background, so hopefully this is bright enough. So moving on, this is my friend's production company, and Toby sent this over. I actually worked with Toby and Pete on a shoot recently for a very funny company. So I'm familiar with these guys. I know what their work ethic is like. I know what kind of content they produce. And again, their website is just like a dream to me. It's just like really minimal, really clean. I just think it looks great. I really like the branding behind your website as well. I like the sort of the colourful thumbnails that you've got, and also the sort of the salmon pink of your logo, and your text works really, really well. I love this. I love the fact that you've got thumbnails of everything. It allows me to see at a glance what your brand is about, what kind of thing you do. I'm not a big fan of the headings though. I think you might almost be insulting your client base or your customer base. I can tell that this is to do with food and drink. If I was to click on this, I'd probably be able to understand that this was to do with lifestyle. You've got briefs on here, which is really cool. You've got credits, which is imperative, I think, especially if you're a production company. This is really nicely laid out. You've got video content and photo content on here, which is really quite challenging to pull that off in a nice format. I think you've done a very good job. Just going to click on your about section here. This is really nice. I like how this is laid out. I think these lines are a little bit busy. I understand why you've done it because of your branding. I think something format wise has got a bit wrong here. That might just be my laptop and how it's viewing it on full screen, but I like that you've got a client list as well. I think that's really cool. Obviously with bigger clients, people recognize logos more than the name. Generally, like I know that that's the Vodafone logo, and the McLaren logo is really obvious. So that's quite cool to have that up there. It's a little bit of a boasting point for you, I guess. So I'm just went over to your contact section, but I'm just going to scroll down to here. I don't think you need to have this in your about section. I think that you could keep this to literally just like a 2 scroll kind of page, and then have just your contact section on its own. This is a really cool little feature. I don't think enough people understand the kind of budget that goes into things, so having a little breakdown is really handy for some people who might be new to hiring a production team. But yeah, generally I think you've done a really good job of mixing video and photo content, and also providing some information for clients and returning clients who might not know necessarily what they're after. You've provided a really good breakdown of what they need, and I just think it's a really clean and concise website. Okay, so thank you to Kieran for sending his website over. Just from launching your website, I can see that you're obviously a live music event photographer. These are some fantastic images. I think you've got a really good range. You've got a range of instruments. You've got a range of angles. You've also got a range of colours going on, which is really cool to see. You've got some black and white thrown in there. It just gives a little bit of, it spices it up a little bit. I think that works really well. So on the side here, you've got another breakdown bar. So if I click on portraits, it will take me to your portrait section. Again, really nicely laid out. I like that you formatted it so it sort of stays within that box. I think that works really well. You've got like a mix of street photography in here as well, which is kind of cool to see. I would potentially stay away from including anything that isn't strictly portrait photography, as in like not candid portrait photography. Yep, I think this looks excellent. I like the fact that you can just scroll on it to see the thumbnails, then click on it to make it a bigger image as well. Your about page is really simple. I like that. Really concise and straight to the point. And you've got a nice little bit of contact as well in there, so people can contact you really easily. Got your social media icons. I would have probably tried to put those at the bottom of a page somewhere, just so I don't have to come into your projects to see them. I know you've got them in the sidebar, but again, on mobile it might not show up, so just keep that in mind. Your contact form, I don't think you necessarily need to have a separate thing to your contact if it's already in your about section. If not, take it out of your about section and put it in a separate page. I think this could be slightly confusing, and again, I would rather send out an email directly to you than fill out an online form. That way I can keep a record of who I've emailed and not have weird confirmation emails from online forms. It just makes threads a bit easier as well. Got a blog in here, really cool. I can see you've got a few posts in here already, which is really nice to see. I like how you formatted this. I also really like the idea of this project. Just having a quick scan of it, it's really nice to see. It sounds like a very engaging project, and I wish you the best of luck with it, and I hope the exhibition went well. You got a shop in here as well, really cool to see. It's nice to see some people are trying to make some residual income. It can be really hard, especially as like a street photographer, to actually make any income off doing your photography. So residual income like prints, books, exhibitions are really cool. I can see you're selling Lightroom presets as well. And you've got this legal section here. I don't really understand why you've got this on here. I would say that your copyright info should go in the bottom of an email, set it up as an attachment. There's plenty of videos online about the legal side of photography. The AOP have some really good copyright guidelines as well, so I'll leave a link to that down in the description below if you want to go and check that out. I personally wouldn't put this on my website. If you need to settle any copyright things, settle it with the client directly. I don't think you need to display it on your website. Your website's really clean, and again, I can click here and it resets the website, goes back to your homepage. I think you've done a really good job. So yeah, well done. So the last two websites coming up are both street photography websites. The first of which is a guy called John Hughes, who is a street photographer based between London and Cambridge. I really like John's work. I think that his website is pretty clean from the get-go. This scrolling screen is a little bit annoying. I would be careful about that because it's quite fast. It doesn't allow me to sort of take in any of the imagery, and you don't have an option for any thumbnails that I can see. If I click down here, what does that do? Oh, that makes it full screen. That works. That means I can scroll through at my own pace. I'd be careful about how you've named your files as well. Sometimes you want to have a consistent look, or I generally just don't display any captions on my website. I think titles for images look a little bit silly. It's really hard to come up with a non-pretentious title as well. So I think, yeah, take that out, see how you like it. Your about page is quite nice and clean. You've got a picture on there, which is really cool to see. Again, I don't think you need to put all of this information in your about section. Again, think that could be done in a video format or in a blog post, somewhere that somebody can easily find it, but I don't think you need to display it on your about section. I really like this section down here. Like I said, it's really hard for street photographers to get any sort of credit for achievements, so I think that having your achievements with like interviews, features, anything like that on your website is really cool. I think that you've kept it really nice and concise, and I can see that you've got click-through links on here as well. You've also got your Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and I'm not sure, is that Flickr? I would be careful about what's happening there. Maybe just give that another rejig, but I understand where you're coming from. Sometimes websites do break, sometimes it's my browser, sometimes it's other people's browsers, so just something to keep in mind. And you've got a shop as well, which is really cool to see again. I like this. I think this is a really nice clean layout. Nice and simple. You've got like a nice image of the cover of the book, and you've got a more lifestyle shot of the book. And then your contact section, again, you've got a full out form. A lot of people seem to be enjoying the online forms. I'm really not a fan of them personally. I like the fact that you've got a picture there as well. That's really nice. Again, it's breaking down that barrier. Really important in my opinion. But apart from that, I think you've done a pretty good job of showing your imagery. I would like to see you add a grid option or a thumbnail option, and also if you're going to keep this animation, then slow it down. It's nice to be able to enjoy an image a bit more, and it also allows the viewer to take more control over what they're looking at. But apart from that, I think that's a really nice photography website. And last but not least, this is one of my best mates, Nico, who is a street and portrait photographer based in London. I've known Nico for nearly 3 years now, which is far too long. But again, I think you've made this on Squarespace. I believe we've talked about this in the past. Again, really nice layout with the imagery. I like the thumbnail grid layout. I like that I can click on this image and it goes full screen. I like that I can cycle through the images. Again, you've got that show thumbnails option, which I think was in a previous website, so that's really cool to see. You've got a drop down menu on the left. I'm not a massive fan of drop down menus. I've mentioned that before in this video, but I think that it works in this sense on the desktop. Again, just think about how it works on mobile. I know I keep reiterating that, but it is really important to consider, seeing as so many people are scrolling through Instagram. They'll come across your page, they'll want to look at your website, and then they'll start fiddling around with your website and trying to navigate it, and they don't understand how it works. I think that's just really important to consider how it's going to work for both desktop and mobile. So again, when I click on a project, just really nice clean layout. I don't know why I can't click on these to make them full screen. That would be a really nice feature to have. And I like these little captions that you've got underneath. I think they're really short and concise and they work really well. Again, just try and format that so I can click on those images, just because I'd love to see them full screen. I think in your features and publications, you could probably take out these really long links. You could just have the title and then have it so when you click on there, it's like a hyperlink, so it takes you to the website. I think that just would clean things up a little bit. I think it would make things look a little bit neater. Nobody likes HTTP website links. They just look gross. They're full of weird numbers and letters. So maybe just try and clean that up a little bit. I like that you've got a client list on here as well down at the bottom. I think that's really important to have. I think especially because you do both portrait work as well, and I know you do event work, it's important for people to be able to see what else you do and what kind of clients you work for. So I think as a working photographer, this is really important, and you've also done a really good job of showing your portfolio. Everybody seems to love contact forms. I don't know why. You've got your email there, which is plenty. I think you could have had another image here maybe and gotten rid of this. If you're going to keep this as well, make this gap a little bit shorter. That's being really picky. I'm sorry, but you are one of my mates, so I feel like I can do that. And then you've got your Instagram link and your Facebook link, so you've got some social links for people to be able to go and see your Instagram page or your Facebook page. I think that's really important, especially to have them linked, so you can have a link in your Instagram to your website and then a link from your website to your Instagram. It's sort of like cross promotion of each, but I think it works really well. It means that you're not losing out on any client base who might stumble across your Instagram page or your website. So I think you've covered all bases there. I think you've nailed it in terms of displaying a solid portfolio. I personally actually would have a personal project like the Bakerloo line as your home screen. I understand why you might have done this because it's not part of a drop down, but apart from that, I think you've done a really good job, and you've got a really solid portfolio online, so good job. But apart from that, thank you so much for watching this video. If you want me to critique your website, then be sure to send me a link. Like I said, if I haven't done you in this video, I'm really sorry. I want to try and keep this to a relatively short length video. I know quite a few of the videos the past couple of weeks have been quite long format, so apologies for that, but you know, it's raining outside and I've got to do sit down videos. So alternatively, if you would like to book a one-on-one session with me where I can review your website and your portfolio, then don't hesitate to send me an email. We can sort out a date and a price for that as well. So thank you very much for watching this video. Be sure to follow me on Instagram. My name is @SamBHolt on all social media platforms. Be sure to leave a like and also subscribe for any future videos, and don't forget to turn notifications on so you are notified when those come out. New videos come every single Wednesday, but apart from that, thank you very much for watching this video, and I shall see you in the next one.